Hey, and welcome to another edition of Tactical Tips brought to you by the Independent Dealer Podcast and our friends at NEO. And Jeff, you're here again today. I love you being here with me on Tactical
Thanks,
Tips.
man. That's the nicest thing you've ever said.
Yeah, it probably is to you. But I really do care about you and glad you're here, Jeff.
Appreciate that, man. Well, I'm excited about accounting processes. I'll tell you what, it's funny you texted me, you're like, hey, let's do this. We got the newsletter. I was right in the middle of doing my accounting and I was like, man, I should really write processes for all this stuff. And then I can just hand it off to somebody else because I do it. But as I'm doing it, I just need to document it. Like, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and document every little thing and then just hand it to somebody else and let them do it.
It's kind of like the process that we developed in-house with NEO to make sure we're selling more deals, Jeff. You got to have those processes in place. And luckily, NEO is a process-driven underwriting tool that we use to help us sell more cars and make sure we're making the right deals. And if you've been like Jeff and I, we've been a little slow this month. So we started to really look at those C's and D's and see if we could turn them into A's and B's, right?
Yeah, it's all about getting the right deal. So Luke, talk to us about accounting processes. And first off, I think we want to, again, differentiate between a process and a policy. So give us some ideas, because policies come first. You have to have the policy in place before you build the process, or you don't even know what you're building. So give us some example of accounting policies that we should be aware of.
So I think the first and main objective to accounting, the first main policy is you got to realize what business you are running and what your chart of accounts should look like. I do know back in the day that NIADA had a basic chart of accounts that all dealers could use, and it really helped you when you were in 20 group and when you were trying to start your business. Some people sitting out there may not even know what chart of accounts are, and so it's the accounts inside your accounting platform, QuickBooks or whatever you may be using, that helps you determine, hey, what's my profit and loss statement going to look like, and what's my balance sheet going to look like? Mm-hmm. So that's the first policy. And it's something you probably get with your accountant as well, your CPA, especially if you're using an automotive accountant or CPA, because there is really a group of accounts that you need and a group of accounts that fit your DMS as well, right, Jeff?
Yeah, and I love the DMS integration. A lot of people will argue against it. They say just keep your accounting separate. It's a love-hate relationship. But
that's another policy, Jeff. Are we going to integrate our DMS with our QuickBooks or whatever you use? And my answer to that is 100% yes, we are. And Ms. Sanchez may shout us down for saying that, but I think it saves us so much time and it's the right way to do it. Well, how about you, Jeff?
So other processes or policies, guys. So just real quick, what is your cash handling policy? How much cash do you leave in your drawer? When do you do your reconciliation? When do you want to have your numbers done by? Do you have deadlines? I mean, there's just a lot of different policies. We can't get into all of them, but you want to have thought most of these through. And of course they change, right? Yep. You may say, hey, the cash grows in a drawer and then it goes in the safe. Or you may say, we keep all gas receipts, or no, we photograph them all and upload them to QuickBooks, or hey, nothing is done outside of these 2 credit cards, and this one's only for gas and this one's only for parts. And so you have a million different policy decisions to make. And then we get into the real meat and potatoes, Luke, which is building out the processes, right? Processes are how I do it or how I carry out this policy. And those are the detailed steps that you write down in order to make sure that that's done the same way every single time, right?
Yeah, and it's a daunting task. And what I do, Jeff, is I block out a certain amount of time each day to work on this. Because if you don't make sure that you're doing it daily, what I have found over the years is maybe I forget how to handle the process, right? Because I didn't write it down. So it's super important to make sure that you block out time daily to do it. And another thing that's really helped me was Dave Keller just taught me how to do so much when it comes to accounting, but he helped me build spreadsheets and understand spreadsheets that help me to do my job more effectively. And at some point I could maybe let someone else do it. I think the owner should always be the one reconciling the big numbers so that you make sure somebody's not stealing from you, right?
Yeah. You want to have oversight and definitely override on all those things. But like, the simple stuff like reconciling gas receipts to credit card statements,
Yeah.
right? Okay, I'm going to build out a process for that. Take this statement, match these credit cards, let me know what's missing, and those can go into a spreadsheet or a report or something. But yes, build out every single one of those processes and make sure that it's in writing in your policy and procedure manual.
Yeah, it's hard to, and you said this earlier, but one of the biggest things is making sure there's a self-imposed monthly deadline. When you're in 20 group, as we all know, there's a drop dead date, right, Jeff? What's that date?
I don't know, the end of the month.
It's the 20th. It's the 20th. You got to have all your stuff in by the 20th, right? And some people adhere to that. I adhere to that because I know that it puts a deadline on me that I'm going to get it done. Jeff's on the 21st and he's already working, and he's just working on it. So I don't know what's going on here.
I wait for a second or third email. Guys, so that's the advice. That's our tactical tip for this newsletter this week, guys. Build out your accounting processes. I know it, like Luke said, it's so daunting, but get it all in writing so that you're consistent, and eventually you can delegate those low-level processes to someone else as you continue to grow and scale.
Or you could farm it out to a fractional CFO or something like that, which we've talked about in the past. And that might be a good idea for some of y'all out there that just don't have the capability to do it, or don't have the time to do it, or don't want to do it. Just make sure it's done. That's it.
Talk to you next week.